So we're here with Jeff Clapper, and Jeff is a local business owner and also a member of our church. And he has done something with his company that's almost completely unique in Arkansas. I think there's, two? Oh,
we are the second.
The second one. So sought B Corp designation for your company. So I would love it if you would tell us a little bit about your work and then what B Corp is and a little bit about that process.
Sure. So Eighth and Walton very simply provides education, classroom education to Walmart suppliers, best practices for their teams in sales and supply chain and accounting and all those. And then we also provide consulting and guidance to small and medium brands. And the B Corp designation is really a rigorous process. It took us probably a year and a half of ongoing work. You go through a really thorough screening, a couple hundred questions, and then each of those have subpoints, and you basically answer. The high level, the B Corp is about, does this company exist to do more than just make money? Is it good for the broader community? Is it good for the employees? Is it are we challenging ourselves to do more than just make money? So you go through this really rigorous screening process. It takes a long time, and then there's really no sort of tangible consequence other than to hold ourselves accountable to that standard and that standard of excellence, and to keep pushing ourselves to measure that effort and the impact that we're having.
Okay, so if there's no tangible consequence, why go to all the trouble?
That's a great question, and I definitely got that internally with a lot of our team and our leadership. Like, why are we doing this? And we know we have good intention, good practices, good hearts. Like, why does this matter? Kind of exactly your question. There's sort of the transactional side that just says, hey, this lets the world know that quickly. Like, this is a company that really, it's just a quick way of saying we're here to do good things for the broader community. And then it also actually going through the process brought to light opportunities for us to be even better. And so that was really important and good too. You answer a question like, what are your practices around insurance for your employees, or transparency about governance, or the environment, all of these things. And as you answer the questions, in fact, when I first went through all of those questions, I just took a bunch of notes about, I would like to be able to claim this. I would like to be able to say we do this and all of that stuff. So the first time I went through it, we were far short of the expectation. And then going through the process actually helped us become even better. So it wasn't simply, hey, we already know we do these things. In fact, in many cases we didn't. It helped us get there just by going through the exercise.
Okay, all right. So what is your personal motivation for being more socially responsible and doing more good in the world?
Honestly, I guess I think I would just get bored if it was only about having a company that made money. It just feels like there's got to be a bigger purpose to what we're doing. And if I just said, yeah, we're just here to make money, I don't know, I would just kind of feel empty at the end of the day. And I could and I could see how it would play out. I've been doing this for long enough, and I was like, okay, sort of imagine where this goes over 5, 10, 20 more years. And it was like, I could see at the end of that being like, wait, that's all we did? So it's just kind of like I wanted to find more meaning in the building a healthy business, a healthy team, and not just say, yeah, we made good money.
Yeah. So what are some of the specific good things that you were already doing, and then what has this led you to put into practice?
Sure. A lot of what we were already doing had to do with taking good care of our team, our employees, and some environmental considerations. Although we're for the most part local and pretty light operation, it's a sort of an intellectual business, so not really a lot of opportunities to pollute or that kind of thing. But we get to take credit for that on the application. We already had a lot of sort of attitude of giving and generosity, but this really actually helped us formalize that. So now we say right up front on our webpage and everywhere, we're giving 5% of our revenue to nonprofits. So just really being intentional and clear and transparent about that. Just take care of the team, the earth, give back. I was talking to a mentor just yesterday, in fact, and he said, and he's run a much, much bigger company, and he said, it's fun and it brings joy to make money, and it's great when you can also find joy in giving money away. And so that's really the really meaningful and inspiring part now.
Yeah.
I don't think you asked that, but...
No, that was great. That was great. That was perfect. But as you were sharing, you mentioned that you have a mentor, at least one.
Mm-hmm.
What is the value of having a mentor in the work that you do personally as a leader?
Oh, man. Just someone who, it's great to have someone you can kind of think out loud on some of those questions. I saw something like 6 months ago. It's like, what was the thing that made you weird as a kid? Because it's probably what makes you interesting as an adult.
Right.
And I think I was kind of weird as a kid, and I haven't let up on the fact that I can't stop asking why I'm doing stuff. So I feel like having a mentor is a great space for asking that question of someone who's already kind of climbed some of the same mountains. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And has patience and space to see around and say, and not just give you answers with the right conversation or the right person, but mm-hmm. sort of help foster that conversation.
Do you mentor others?
My kids, for right now. I mean, ultimately I know that's in the future, but my finite and my most finite and scarce resource right now is time, and I can't. I have a group of business owners that I'm actively involved in, and we all it's sort of co-mentorship there. Mm-hmm. We're all helping each other in that way, but beyond my family and that, it's probably and maybe just sort of informally with some friendships, but not today. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a couple. You're just inspiring me to ask all kinds of questions. How did you get into this work? What inspired you to start this company? Where did it come from? All of that.
Yeah, I didn't start the business.
Okay.
Actually, so I grew up in an entrepreneurial family. My grandparents actually started the first crafting magazine that ever existed. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You and others I know that, I'm sure, mm-hmm. already. And then my parents worked together in that business, and Annie and I grew up listening to business conversations every night at dinner. And then when I finished college, it wasn't long before I was back working at the business, and we ultimately sold that business about 15 years ago. I started a video game company, raised money, and then sold that to a company in California at the same time that we moved here with Brenda's work. And I didn't really know anybody in Northwest Arkansas, and I was like, hey, I'm just here to talk and make friends or whatever, see what opportunities come up. But I went to a networking event at the mall when there used to be a food court at what is now Dave & Buster's, and it was like a total bust.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we had lived here for a month, and I went to the food court at the mall, and there were 3 other people there, and I was like, and then texting Brenda like, I'm out of here. And then as I was about to leave, I ended up meeting, as someone else was coming in, and he was one of the co-founders of 8th and Walton. We started working on some different projects together, and ultimately came back around to help buy out one of his other co-founders, and then over time bought all he and the others out of the business a few years back. And we really grew for the first probably 7 or 8 years. It was only education, and then as I bought the business, we really launched into more media and consulting as well. Okay.
All right.
But my background was limited Walmart supplier background. That was primarily through the magazines I had called on Walmart, and then this was just a neat opportunity, and kind of got involved and kept building it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, what kind of video games? To know.
Really, we had one main game, and it was an online golf game called Gimme Golf, mm-hmm. and we built it for the PC, and it was the idea was like cash tournaments, and we were 6 or 7 months into developing that game for the PC in the same summer, or we were 6 or 7 months into developing it when the iPhone
came
out. And so we're like, great, we've got a PC game, and now everyone's building apps for the iPhone. And
Right.
so we stuck with it, and we had about maybe 80,000 players on it. It was, we didn't change the world, and everybody eventually kind of ran out of steam on it. So we sold it and kind of moved on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny the paths that life leaves you on, right?
Yeah, I mean that. That's many more minutes of conversation about the roller coaster of owning a business.
Right.
Between the magazines and the video games, and even Ethan Walton has been on a journey. So yeah.
Well, what would you say are maybe 2 or 3 lessons that you've learned from business owning?
Oh man. Remember when I said I wasn't a mentor?
Right. No, you're mentoring kids. So kids, here is your lesson.
Actually, it's good practice because I think in 2 weeks we're supposed to go talk to Alice's class about entrepreneurship. So probably the biggest thing is just keep going. The perseverance. I remember it's been many years ago now, but basically we were in a really, really bad season, tough season with Ethan Walton, and I was upset just about how it was all looking, and it was pretty scary, of course. And our kids were young; they were just a couple years old. And Brenda said, "You got to keep going. You got to show these kids how to get knocked down and get back up."
Yeah.
So that's probably the biggest thing.
Yeah. Well, it's perseverance, right? Yeah. It makes me think of some of the things that Paul has written about. You have to keep persevering even when you come up against empires that are against you. And circumstances that you think, how am I supposed to go on? And so much of what I see for people of faith is that motivating aspect of hope. That even in the dark days, there's a hope that you can hang on to there.
Yeah. I mean that really kind of brings it out the other side. Sorry.
No, you're good.
Yeah, I mean that really brings it out the other side. The relentless creative force. If we can just sort of stay dialed into that.
Yeah. So on those lines, how does your faith figure into your work?
I mean, that's probably the stuff's all there. Mm-hmm. You just keep believing, keep trying to do the right thing, listening for what seems to be the next right thing. That's sort of the presence of God in entrepreneurship for me. The question of why. Like, who am I? Why am I doing this? What's the next right thing to do?
Right.
My faith is involved in all those questions.
Yeah. I think when you spoke earlier about at the end of the day, when all is said and done, I want to be able to say I did something more than just make money. Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I want to have made a difference in this world.
Yeah, and not for my own ego.
Right.
Because that's going to be gone with me. But it just makes the life I've lived more meaningful. Just to feel like, I've made the world a little better than it was when I got here.
Right.
Tiny bit.
Yeah. But a lot of times those tiny bits have much bigger ripples than we think
I hope.
They do.
Yeah. Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? I won't get to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking in line of this, I don't know if I'll tell the story whenever I preach on leadership or not, but I actually once owned a small business. It was a lemonade stand.
Hey.
And my parents made it a goal of, this is not just, you're not just going to set up lemonade and, make a bunch of money and then go spend it on a toy or whatever. They made me come to the table with a pitch for my business, with a marketing plan and these were going to be my suppliers,
Yeah.
right? And I had to negotiate a deal with my
love it.
suppliers. My dad at the time sold all coffee, tea, spices, and drink mixes, and so he could actually sell me lemonade drink mix in bulk.
Yeah.
And so he was like, "You're a new business. We'll start you out. Buy one, get one free on the drink mix and all of that." And then they gave me money. They were also my investors, my initial investors. So they gave me some upfront money to pay for the materials that I had to pay. I had to research. I had to research what colors were good for marketing
Oh, wow.
lemonade, all kinds
How
of
old
stuff.
were you?
I was 10.
Dang.
I know. And I hired my brother, and he was a terrible employee. He only worked one day.
That's maybe for the best.
Right. I had that lemonade stand every day in the afternoon for 6 weeks.
Wow.
And charged 18 cents for a cup of lemonade, because as my dad said, you charge them 18 cents and then they feel really generous when they give you a quarter.
Oh yeah.
And
Let
they
them round
say-
up.
They say, don't, just keep the change.
Yeah.
And I had regular customers that came by every day. It was crazy. We offered Fritos for free. You could have free Fritos because it make you thirsty and you'd buy more lemonade. It was a whole thing.
Oh man.
It was a whole thing.
You were ready to open a bar after that.
Actually, at the end of it all, after 6 weeks of work, I had to pay back my investors. I had to pay all my supplies. I had to pay my lousy employee. And I netted $18.
Dang. That's really good.
At the time, $18 did not feel like that's worth 6 weeks of work.
Well, yeah, but I mean, if you're earning them a quarter at a time,
Right.
that's a lot of quarters.
Oh, I made a lot of money.
Yeah.
But as I watched it drop down,
Yeah.
as this goes back to your investors, this goes,
Oh yeah.
this goes, I joke and say that what I learned from that was not to go into business. But
It's like I say to some people, you have to be just smart enough to succeed and just dumb enough to try.
right, exactly. But I do appreciate that early lesson, and actually it was invaluable even in the work that I do in nonprofit, which I tell people. Sometimes people will ask, "So do you just sit around and read all week?" And I've decided my new answer is going to be, no, I'm the CEO of $1 million nonprofit corporation, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, we have this whole like respect for money, right? And that, that's going to you're going to get people to perk up like, oh, interesting.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, it's interesting.
But, I learned a lot about business in that. I learned a lot about leadership. I learned a lot about human nature. And I think that's really what no matter what we do with our lives, we're going to run into human nature everywhere we go.
Yeah.
Everywhere we go. And the choices that we make matter
Yeah.
in the midst of that, right?
Yeah. So,
in your life, what are some of the best choices you've made?
Marrying Brenda. That was my first answer. I didn't want to say it too quickly. It just seemed cheesy. But that is what came to mind immediately. Yeah, it's funny because now I can't think of anything past that. And I'm going to start crying again just thinking about that. I'm sorry, I'm just stuck there.
That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, I mean, just showing up, that's another thing I talk to the kids. That's not like one big choice, but that's something I'm talking a lot about with our kids is just like keep showing up every day.
Yeah.
And that relates to the perseverance, but just it's a little choice you make every day. Like, am I going to stay in bed or am I going to get up and show up for the day and show up for the game? And you just do that every day.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right. So, if you had one lesson of leadership to pass on to folks, what would it be?
Like tapping me out of all my stuff.
I am.
I think maybe one of the biggest things is just around trust in, trust begets trust. Find people to work with, whether it's your customers or your team, all of the above. Find people that you can trust and really give that to them, and it will be reciprocated, and you just can do a whole lot more, a whole lot faster, have a bigger, better impact and outcome for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And trust is not an easy thing to build, right?
No. Right. It's easy to lose and hard to build.
That's right. That's
And
right.
it kind of comes back to your faith question too. Like it's got to start somewhere, and I
Yeah.
think that probably has to come from to some degree faith in others, faith in God.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for doing the hard work of getting the B Corp designation.
Yeah.
But more than that, thank you for doing the hard work to even qualify for it.
Oh yeah.
And to maintain it, and to making those ethical decisions, and to treating your people right, and to giving to the greater world around you makes a huge difference. And, it may feel like just a pebble thrown, but again, the waves that you're creating,
Yeah.
especially with God behind it, you never know.
Yeah.
You never know what'll happen.
Yeah. I mean, as far as our team is concerned, it's interesting because I work with people who've spent decades with big companies, and their tone after a little while on our team is like, "Oh, there's a better way to live," but it kind of pains me. Like, yes, I want this for you. I want you to have a good life. Like, I hope I can create space for more people to have that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's wonderful. Well, thanks again. Thanks for your time, Jeff.
Yeah.
Thanks for your leadership.
Thank you. Likewise.
Yeah.
Yeah.